Welcome back. This is video 2, you guys. Don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button so that the algorithm will push this video forward. We are going to discuss the latest thing that's going on with poor Princess Catherine. Let's go. I'm not going to lie, I was really upset when I saw this story. You know, your personal medical information is your own, and people seem to think that they own Catherine. She works for the UK, but the UK doesn't own her. Apparently, it's being reported that while she was a patient in the London clinic back in January, somebody was caught trying to access her medical records. And so now the hospital where she stayed has launched an investigation because you can't access somebody else's private, confidential medical records. Now, they're saying that her confidentiality was breached while she was a patient there. Who wants to bet this person was offered money to do this? I bet. Okay, first of all, I don't know how things are in the UK. I don't know what the laws are in the UK, but I can tell you about America. And when I was an employee at the hospital, we used EMRs. Let me explain. EMR stands for Electronic Medical Record. And so every time you access somebody's chart, it leaves I don't want to say a mark, an electronic signature. It shows that you were in that record. So if somebody called up and said, Sue Smith was in my medical record and she wasn't supposed to be there, that's very easy to debunk because there would be an electronic signature in the record to show that I had accessed that record, if that makes sense. Again, I don't know about UK law, only American law, and I think it was Britney Spears who was in the hospital, and they went back and looked and found the employees that looked her up. They didn't even access her medical record. They simply looked her up and they were terminated. So the article says it is a crime for any staff at the NHS or a private healthcare setting to access the medical records of any patient without the consent of the organization's data controller. Now, the police apparently would not confirm or deny whether they had been notified. However, with that being said, an information commissioner's office spokesperson said, and I'm quoting, "We can confirm we received a breach report and are assessing the information provided." The hospital reached out to Kensington Palace the second they found out about the breach, and the palace responded by saying, quote, "This is a matter for the London clinic." And the London clinic emphasized its commitment to patient privacy. They put out a statement saying, "We firmly believe that all of our patients, no matter their status, deserve total privacy and confidentiality regarding their medical information." Yep. Now, this breach is very damaging for the hospital because it has an unblemished reputation for treating members of the royal family. People are comparing what happened with what happened in 2012, which I'm sorry, I don't think they compare. What happened in 2012 were two Australian DJs called the hospital impersonating Queen Elizabeth and also impersonating Prince Charles in a prank call where Catherine was receiving some treatment. That nurse, she removed herself from this earth after she became involved because she transferred the phone call and unintentionally disclosed details about Catherine's, how she was feeling, how she was doing. This poor woman took full responsibility for what happened, and then she did what she did, and those radio jocks left the airwaves. I don't think we've ever heard from them since, but the damage had been done, wasn't it? So anyway, the allegations were made. Somebody contacted the hospital. They refused to disclose whether someone that tried to access the medical records, if that person had been terminated or not. My guess would be you have to prove that they did something. You can't just terminate on an allegation. But if they're able to prove it, then yes, I'm pretty sure that person is probably out the door. As a side note, it's saying that the staff there has been left shocked and distraught because they trusted their colleagues. You have to trust your colleagues and people you work with. And they're saying that they're distraught that a colleague could carry out such a breach of trust and ethics. I agree. When I worked and I found people were doing things wrong, it's a hard pill to swallow. You take an oath when you become a nurse. With that being said, an ex-NHS medical records person stepped up and said, it is so easy to access the records. And guess what she talked about? She talked about an EMR, which is what I told you about earlier. She said everybody who works there gets a special ID card. You put the card in and it leaves a trace so people know who logged into the computer. So she says once you have a card, you have access. But yes, it does leave a trace, which is what I told you guys about before. But this woman says that the bulk of NHS employees have access to everybody's records. Well, yes. Should you be searching for records you have no business in? No. But is it easy to access people's records even if you weren't supposed to be there? Yes. She also said that staff was repeatedly warned, don't search for friends or family. We heard the same thing. Don't go into other people's medical records because you could lose your license. You just don't do it. But it appears that somebody did. To slide in towards the end of this video, it's being reported now that the police were asked to probe the claims that the staff tried to view Princess Catherine's private medical records because that is highly illegal. It's not just a hospital issue, it's a police issue. I agree. According to all the articles, Catherine was also told what all was, going on. In the middle of all this, the health minister apparently confirmed to the papers or the news that the police were looking into an attempt to look up Catherine's medical records. However, the Met Police have denied that a probe has been launched. They said they're not aware of any referral to the police at this time. Oh my. Let me also remind you that back in December of 2023, some hackers broke into the computer system at King Edward VII's hospital. They apparently claimed that they got all kinds of information on the royal family, and they wanted 300,000 pounds in Bitcoin. The hospital did admit that a, quote, limited amount of patient information was copied, and they offered their apologies, and you never heard another word. So, yeah, don't know about that one. It didn't take long. 3 employees at the London clinic were facing disciplinary action because they were suspected of accessing Princess Catherine's medical records in an unauthorized manner and probably sharing it. And the hospital came out and said, there is no place at our hospital for those who intentionally breach the trust of any of our patients or colleagues. Not long after that, it was reported that it is believed that the 3 people were suspended. Now, aside from the statement that was put out, nobody is answering any questions on the status of the staff, when the investigations started, etc., etc. The hospital also put out a statement saying that they take pride in the care that they give, that everybody there is aware of the individual, professional, ethical, and legal duties when it comes to patient confidentiality, and they have systems in place to monitor everything like the EMRs I was telling you about. So my guess is if these people are suspended, then they found something. The question is, I think the people who taped Catherine walking, with William got like 140,000 pounds. Could you imagine what her medical records would get? And the rest of the royal family is doing what they usually do. They're going to keep calm and carry on. And as soon as I have some more information about what's going on with this, I will be sure to update all of you. I just think that's a horrible thing to do to somebody. All right, you guys, you know what to do. You're going to hit that like button, that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. And then you're going to follow me over to video 3. Let's go.